Yo, what's going on after the fight? What is your boy Money back with another one, family? This one here is on three big dogs in this fight game. We have Terence T-Boy Crawford, the undefeated four-division world champion, two-time undisputed, considered number one pound for pound to a lot of people. We have Errol the True Spence Jr., the former unified WBC, IBF, and Super WBA welterweight champion. He is still a top shot in this game, still one of the baddest boys out here. And then we have Derrick James, the former trainer of the year. We know how these James get down, man. Train some of the best fighters in the game. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, Derrick James came out and he spoke on why he think Errol Spence lost the fight to Terence Crawford. I want y'all to listen to what Derrick had to say, and I'll be back with a great assessment, family.
I didn't want to sound disrespectful, but that doesn't matter about Errol. It was all about Terence Crawford, right? So none of that even matters. I mean, you just gotta. This is like life is about consistency, right? And so, regardless of who or what, one fighter was consistent, the other fighter wasn't, or whatever the case may be. Right. So I mean, you can't take away. Terence Crawford trained for the individual who had beat everybody else before.
Yeah.
That's who he trained for, right? So that's what you gotta take into understanding. I mean,
so in other words, Errol didn't.
Which I can see, man, Derrick James is saying it was because Terence Crawford was consistent and training for who he was going to face. You understand what I'm saying? So he giving Terence Crawford all his just doing his praises, saying he stayed the course. You know, he was consistent with what he was doing. Now, when it come to EJ, he didn't make no reference on EJ wasn't being consistent on training for Terence Crawford. But, you know, if you read in between the lines, you know, Derrick ain't saying everything. You feel me? He ain't saying everything. You know, he did say that he was shocked, though, the way Errol Spence lost. He didn't expect that. You know what I mean? He didn't, expect Errol to go out there and put on a better fight than what he put on. But like he said, he don't know what went wrong that night because, he the trainer and Errol the fighter, which I can respect that on so many levels because, the fighter got to go out there and perform and things of that nature, right? You put together a game plan and you expect the fighter to go out there and execute that game plan. So for whatever reason, right, like you said, we all know there wasn't the Errol Spence that we're all accustomed to that night. But still in all, EJ was still in the ring. He's still Errol Spence. He still did some good things against other opponents. So we're not going to put it on the car crash or things of that nature. It's just that we just don't know. And Errol won't come out and say what the situation was. He go, get Terence Crawford all is just doing his credit. You feel me? So overall, what everybody like to, oh man, they was hating on Bud. They ain't want to do this, they ain't do that. Derrick James gave him his just due. Terence Crawford is a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Can't take nothing away from him. Gotta give him his just due. You went in there and put on a hell of a performance, man. Put on a hell of a performance. I don't think the world's seen that coming, right? Even the trainers and the Bud fans, they can all say, man, he did this, but that nobody's seen that performance coming from Terence Crawford against Errol Spence. I don't give a damn how much you act like you did or what you trying to act like you study and shit like that. Nobody's seen that coming. You know what I'm saying? I think Bud was even shocked himself, to be honest with you. You feel me? But, to say Terence Crawford was consistent, he went out there, he trained for every opponent, getting ready and things like that. It's saying a lot to me without saying a lot to me, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, we know Errol and Derrick is going through their situations right now where Derrick James is suing Errol Spence, for a certain amount of money. He keeps telling them it's an ongoing legal situation, so he's not trying to say too much because he don't want to mess up whatever he got in play or whatever the situation is. But he did say they did have a talk, right? They had a talk. Nobody was going back and forth arguing with each other, a disagreement on what they probably believe in. But at the same time, they go let the courts handle it. You know what I mean? Derrick also came out and said a few other things I'm going to make a few videos on about Errol kids, running through the gym and, about him not training Errol Spence again. He said he ain't going to say all that. So, he's saying it's out the window. You know what I mean? But that's going to come for another video. But just going back to what, he felt like what's the reason Terence Crawford beat Errol Spence, it's kind of a little mind-boggling to me, a little shocking things of that nature, knowing how long they've been together and shit like that, right? But Derrick James is known to be a truth teller, right? He always keep it trill, he always keep it real. Not saying Errol not, because Errol is a truth teller as well. And got to respect that out of these dudes. Nobody's going out there trying to sugarcoat anything or beat around the bush or shit like that. But you see, Derrick, he didn't really want to speak on certain things because, he still got respect for Errol Spence at the end of the day. Regardless of what people try to say, slice and dice it, he ain't gonna be the one to jump on camera and just bash EJ and try to throw him under the bus and say, oh man, because he ain't do this, bro, he should have did this, or X, Y, and Z. Nah, he ain't do none of that, bro. Right? And that's just being real from, whatever their situation is their situation. And I'm quite sure Earl feel the same way about Derrick James. He not gonna jump on camera and try to bash Derrick to the maximum of his ability. But at the same time, they are going through something, right? And it's kind of crazy because like they're one of the dynamic duos that was together that helped raise boxing. When Floyd and them left for things like that helped raise boxing and keep the fans afloat. You feel me? A lot of people was a fan of Errol Spence and Derrick James, bro. A lot of people. That would draw other fighters to come over to try to work with Derrick, like the Jamel Charlos and the Anthony Joshuas and the Ryan Garcias. Now you got Alicia Baumgardner, right? Frank Morton. You know what I mean? That would draw the people over because they seen the relationship between, Derrick James and Errol Spence. And people liked it. That was like kind of like a family environment. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of mind-boggling to see them going through the situation, man. I never thought they'd be, going through something like this. You feel me? Especially when money coming in play, right? Never let money ruin a great relationship. Always talk it out and come to a conclusion if you can, But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I feel like both of them feel like they in the right. And now, we'll see what happened when, the judge, not the judge, but the court, finally rule on it. But just overall, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, man, that was a big build-up. It was a big-time fight. And, a lot of people was expecting something different. After the fight, Earl didn't say nothing for a long time. Terence Crawford, him and his team, they talked their shit, but they moved on. Derrick never came out and spoke on it. He moved on. Like he said, he had another big-time fight after that he had to get ready for. So he couldn't really dwell on the loss like that or really take it in and say, God damn, man, what really happened in that fight, because he had other fighters to train and things like that. You feel me? So who knows if there was a riff already in the gym with them, right, with Derrick training other big-time names, and we know Earl was the number one fighter over there once upon a time, and, who just knows, bro? You know what I'm saying? A lot of things get lost in translation because there's no communication. I'm going to repeat that again. A lot of things get lost in translation because there's no communication. And you can be feeling some type of way, he can be feeling some type of way, but y'all not talking about it, y'all holding it in, right? Actions speak louder than words, so who knows if y'all, it's just things, bro. Life is life. And everybody got feelings. I don't give a damn how much people try to act like they so nonchalant or like they don't care about certain things. Everybody got feelings. You're a human being. You know what I mean? You're a human being. So you're not a goddamn robot. So you could feel some type of way or feel like you're getting less attention or feel like, we not locked all the way in like we used to be. Who knows what the situation is? Derrick feel like he not locked all the way in like he, like it's just things that get lost, bro, with no communication. And I'm quite sure, if they communicated a little bit more, things probably could have be on better terms right now. You feel me? But we always know after a big-time loss with big-time fighters, the finger get pointed and people start blaming this and start blaming it and start blaming this. Never fails. The bigger the fighters, if they lose, excuses start getting made, whether it's external or internal. You feel me? So certain things that they know that they not saying, that they not go get to the public, right? But they know in the inside, some shit that happened that probably was part of the reason why the performance was the way the performance was. You feel me? And that's things you keep inside the house, like family, right? Certain family don't let things go outside the house, but a lot that's going on inside the house. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, Derrick James came out and spoke on Ak and Barack show. Y'all can go check out that whole interview on the Ak and Barack show. He spoke his little mind. He didn't get too, give us too many details because, like you say, he got a situation going on. But at the end of the day, if you can read in between the lines, like Monty B can, you can dig a whole lot out of it. You feel me? Dig a whole lot out of it. But shouts out to Derrick, man. I wish him nothing but the best. You know, he got Alicia Bum going over there. He still got a few trainers. Shouts out to EJ. Like, we don't know if he coming back or not. You feel me? But if he do, we got to find a new trainer. We'll see where his head at in the game. Shouts out to Terence Crawford, who got Canelo in September. You know, let's see how that fight turn out. It's boxing, man. Boxing come and it goes. Fighters come and they go. But the fans go always be here. So let's just see how things turn out, man. It might be on to the next.